Hey guys, Ben Nash from Pivot Wealth here, and I'm pumped today to be bringing together the work over the last couple of elements of the personal finance challenge to help you set up a savings system, an automated savings system that is going to make your money management easy, save you a bunch of time, keep you motivated, and start delivering some serious results. And I think that, where budgets fall down is that it's great to have a great plan, but it's the practical application of that plan that is going to get you the outcomes that you want. So people think that having a good budget means that you're going to need to be spending a lot of time moving money around, but that is just not the case. You can automate your saving success in a way that takes up none of your time, hacks a lot of your thinking and money psychology and some of the psychological money behavioral finance flaws that can hold us back from getting results. So I'll talk a bit about the categories, and then I'll talk about why this works, and then we'll go into the practical application of how you can make it work for you. Because the reality is, and I'm just going to share my screen here, that when you're allocating your cash, you've broadly got two main choices. You're allocating it either to your spending today or to your spending in the future. Now, your future savings, that's your savings and your investments. So it might be saving into your emergency fund, saving for that property deposit, or investing into potentially things like shares, share investments, managed funds, or property, or your superannuation potentially as well. And the reality is that anything that you invest into outside of cash, that's what's going to deliver the serious wealth and asset building over time. But they're also things that can fluctuate in on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis. And I'm going to talk a bit about this in further elements of the challenge. But for now, know that the key to successful investing and to getting the money results that you want is that knowing that when you allocate money from your today side of the ledger to the future side, that you're never forced to bring it back to the today side at a time that you weren't planning on or a time that doesn't make sense. Because if you can do that, then you can just let good investments do what good investments do over the right time, which is make you money. And I'm going to talk more in the future elements of the challenge about how to choose good investments. But for now, know that the key is making sure that you're not forced to sell at the wrong time. And how you do that is that you just need to make sure that all of the spending that you want to provide for on the today side of the ledger, that it's all taken care of, that you've got the money aside for that spending when it comes up. And the reality is that there's only so many types of expenses that people have that they need to allocate funds to. Now, these are our categories. Again, don't get too caught up on the labels, but this is a system that we found work for hundreds and hundreds of people. I'll talk through the practical piece, and then I'll talk about some of the psychology that drives this. But essentially, you've got your fixed costs. That's your rent, bills, regular recurring costs, the boring stuff. Basically, the things that fit into the fixed category, they're not always fixed. For example, your electricity bill is something that is really a fixed cost, but it may vary slightly from month to month. But the key is that you're never really going to blow your budget on your power bill. So these are expenses, they're boring, they're predictable. We can be conservative, put an amount aside and know that they're just going to bubble away doing what they're doing. Then you've got your spending, that's the fun stuff. That's your day-to-day walking around money. Food, there's some necessary things in here like food you need to eat, but whether you spend $50 or $500, that's a choice. Then you've got your debt, which is everyone's least favorite category. You're paying for things that you're already enjoying or things that you've enjoyed in the past. Lifestyle spending, and that's the bigger ticket discretionary expenses. So things like travel, Christmas gifts, bigger ticket stuff for your house potentially. And that's where the unexpected expenses go as well. And the key to having a cracking savings system that gets the right money in the right places at the right times is understanding what these categories are. And I'm going to go into how we do this with a template that you've already been working on. But for now, just understand that there are these different categories. And once we're clear on what the categories are, you're happy with how much you're saving, then we just need to automate the allocation between them. And how we do that is we just run this as multiple bank accounts where you have money coming into one central hub account and then filtering out into the different buckets that are underneath. If you do that, you've got your bills paid at the time that you want them to pay without you having to think about it. You've got spending, which now becomes your guilt-free spending because you know you're hitting all your other targets. Debt coming down at the rate that you want. You've got money building up for your next holiday when you want it, as well as a little bit for unexpected expenses. And importantly, you're hitting your savings targets on the future side of the ledger. So we've gone through the process of listing everything out. You've then circled back and prioritized the allocations that you feel are helping you to achieve the savings results that you want while spending on the things that are the most important priority for you. The next step is in automating the allocations between these accounts and categories in a way that's going to deliver the results that you want. So this does hack a lot of the psychological principles that can drive how we impact how we impact our savings results over time. Now, there's a few things there. One of them is that you're using the power of small barriers. Now, there's a number of studies out there that show that small barriers can make a big impact to our whether we do something or not. One of the really famous studies was about showing where I'm going to come back to this in a sec, showing where people have a box of chocolates on their desk, and some of them it was in a clear box, some it was in an opaque box that they couldn't see into, and some it was 3 steps away in a cupboard on the other side of their office. Now, what they found is that for the people between having a clear box where they could see into on their desk with these chocolates in it versus an opaque box that they couldn't see inside of, they ate less than half the amount of chocolate than the people that it was like right in their face, essentially. For the people that had to take 3 steps to go to the other side of the room to get their chocolate, they ate almost half again of the group in the opaque category. And it sort of talks to that. When something's right in front of us, it's easy to just consume. We sometimes do it almost mindlessly. And so leveraging the power of small barriers is something that can have a really serious, give you a really serious advantage in hitting your savings target. So using different accounts, automated, it means that you set your default strategy as success, and then your money will just bubble away. You get money delivered into your guilt-free spending account every week. Then you can spend it. You spend it all on whatever you want, knowing that you're doing all of the other things there. That in turn gives you a motivational boost to keep things going forward. And the other big thing that is helpful from a motivation point of view, because we all need motivation to keep going when we're saving for things that we're going to enjoy in the future, whether it's a wealth target or something that we're looking forward to spending our money on, is that if you separate your savings for the future, your savings to save versus the savings that you'll spend on things like a holiday, it has a big psychological impact in that you can see your savings growing, and you know that money is earmarked for your savings targets and progress. It's not like when you put all the money into one big pile and then there's money coming in and you go, well, I've got this holiday coming up and I need to allocate some money to, so how much is actually there for my savings? It can be unclear. So having that separation means that you can see every week or month that your savings is building, and it's building in a way that keeps you focused on, the targets and results that you want to work towards. So practically how we do this, I've got the template that you've now worked through here. You can see as you look through the different expense categories in particular, and on this column here, you can see that there are different expense types. And so based on what I had just covered with what expenses fit into which categories, you just need to choose the most appropriate category for the expense that you've got. So in this one, I've got mortgage payments, that fits under the debt category. Some credit card repayments, again, debt. Strata, there's an other category if you've got something that's random. It's probably closer to a fixed expense though, because it's regular, repeatable. It's not something that changes generally over on a quarter-to-quarter basis. Student loan, again, debt. Home and contents insurance is a fixed cost. So you can see that you choose the categories that are there. As you go down, you see in the hybrid, some of them, the expense drop-down options are not the same because of the nature of the expenses that are included here. And some of them don't have any choice of a drop down at all, because we know that the variable expenses always fit into the spending bucket. So we're trying to give you a bit of a few hints here as to what categories you should be thinking about. Similarly, for the lifestyle expenses, they're all fixed as they are with the property expenses here as well. So take the time to go through your planner, choose the spending categories that are most appropriate for the expenses that you've got there. And once that's done, you, in the summary section, you will see the allocations here. Now, I like to personally run my expenses. I run the same system myself, and I do all of my transfers on a weekly basis. So to implement this plan in practice, money would come into a central hub account and then filter out into the different buckets that sit underneath it. $263 a week into your fixed cost, $840 into your spending, $278 into your lifestyle, and $1,600 into the debt category. In automating those transfers, what you've done is ensure that you have all of the money available for all of the spending allocations that you've included here. So essentially, your automatic saving system is now set up and ready to rock. This sounds simple, but it is the practical application of the work that you've done to date. So take the time, make sure you get it right, and you're going to be set up with the track to run on to hit the savings targets that you want. Now, worth noting that sometimes we need a starting point, so you may need to course correct, but in having multiple bank accounts for the different categories, you will very quickly and easily see if money is building up somewhere or running out somewhere else. Then you can go back and quickly investigate. That's another advantage of having the multiple account system, because when you've got all your money in one big pile, if it's running out, it can be more difficult to see where the money has been going. So when you do this, make sure that you put some time in the calendar to check in on your accounts and review, and then you're going to be set to tweak your system and make sure that it's going to deliver for you.